The text message that destroyed my marriage arrived at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, right as I was elbow-deep in the engine of a 1967 Mustang. My phone buzzed against the workbench, and like an idiot, I wiped my greasy hands on my coveralls and picked it up. Maxed out your card in Miami. You make enough. Brianna. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I stared at those 11 words until they blurred together. Danny Morrison, 38 years old, owner of Morrison's Custom Garage, standing in his own shop like a complete fool. The Mustang's engine suddenly looked as foreign as hieroglyphics. You make enough. Jesus Christ on a cracker, did she really just write that? My phone rang immediately. Chase Bank's automated system, cheerful as a funeral director. Your credit card ending in 4782 has exceeded its limit. Current balance, $8,347.22. $8,000 in Miami, where my wife of 6 years was supposedly attending her sister's wedding, alone. I called Brianna immediately, straight to voicemail, of course. Hey babe, probably on the beach. Leave a message. Her voice sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard now. The beach, right. I pulled up Chase's mobile app with shaking fingers. The charges painted a beautiful picture. Fontainebleau Hotel, 2 nights, premium suite. 1111 restaurant, dinner for 2, Live nightclub, bottle service, Joe's Stone Crab, lunch for 2, Bal Harbor shops, women's clothing, men's clothing, men's clothing. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud in my empty garage, the sound echoing off the concrete walls. 6 years of marriage, and my wife couldn't even be bothered to use her own credit card for her affair. My phone buzzed again. A text from Neil Kowalski, my best friend since high school, and owner of Kowalski's Tap House down the street. Beer? You look like you need one. Saw you through the window. I locked up the shop and walked the 3 blocks to Neil's place, my mind spinning faster than the Mustang's engine ever would. The afternoon sun felt too bright, the traffic too loud, everything too normal for a world that had just shifted off its axis. Neil took one look at my face and poured 2 whiskeys without asking. What happened? I showed him the text. Neil read it twice, then looked up at me with the expression of a man who'd just watched someone kick a puppy. $8,000 in Miami, I said, for her sister's wedding that apparently required a male wardrobe. Brianna has a sister? That's what you're focusing on? Neil shrugged. I've known your wife for 6 years, Danny. She's never mentioned a sister, not once. The whiskey burned going down, but not as much as the realization that Neil was absolutely right. Brianna was an only child. She'd complained about it constantly, especially during holidays when she'd whine about having to split time between our families. So who's the guy? Neil asked. I pulled up Instagram on my phone, something I rarely used, but Brianna lived on. Her latest post was from this morning, a selfie on South Beach, looking absolutely radiant in a bikini I'd never seen before. The caption read, Miami vibes with my favorite people, Shakshing's blessed Datum sisters, Shek vacation. But it was the tagged location that made my blood freeze. Fontainebleau, Miami Beach. The same hotel on my credit card statement. I scrolled through the comments. Her friend Kelsey had written, You and Tyler look so cute together. Tyler. Not a sister. Tyler. I showed Neil the phone. He whistled low. Tyler sounds like a real winner. I need to find out who this Tyler is. Or, Neil said, refilling our glasses, you could make her life very, very difficult. The idea hit me like a lightning bolt. I'd spent 6 years being the good husband, the provider, the guy who worked 60-hour weeks so Brianna could have her yoga classes and wine nights and shopping trips. I'd been playing defense my entire marriage. Time to play offense. I pulled out my phone and called Chase Bank's fraud department. Hi, I need to report fraudulent charges on my credit card. Someone stole my card information and went on a spending spree in Miami. The representative, a patient woman named Carol, took down all the details. Hotel charges, restaurant bills, shopping sprees. I played the part of the confused, victimized husband perfectly. "We'll need to file a police report," Carol said, "and we'll be contacting the merchants to investigate these charges. In the meantime, we're canceling this card and issuing you a new one." "Thank you so much, Carol. This is just terrible. My wife is going to be so upset when she finds out someone stole our information." Neil was grinning like a shark when I hung up. "You magnificent bastard. I'm just getting started." My phone rang. Brianna finally calling back. "Danny, what the hell? My card just got declined at dinner." "Oh no, honey. Someone stole our credit card information. I had to cancel all our cards. There were thousands of dollars in fraudulent charges in Miami." Silence. Beautiful. Telling silence. "Fraudulent charges?" "Yeah. Can you believe it? Someone was staying at some fancy hotel, buying men's clothes, eating at expensive restaurants. The bank is investigating everything. They said they might need to involve the police." More silence. I could practically hear her brain scrambling for an explanation. "That's terrible," she finally said. "I know, right? Good thing you're not in Miami or anything crazy like that. You're at your sister's wedding, safe and sound." "Right. My sister's wedding. What's her name again? I always forget." The pause stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. "Sarah," she finally said. "Sister Sarah." "Sister Sarah? Is she a nun?" "What? No, I meant Sarah. My sister Sarah." I almost felt bad for her. Almost. "Well, give Sarah my best. I hope the wedding is beautiful. When are you coming home?" "Tomorrow, early flight." "Great. I'll pick you up at the airport. Can't wait to hear all about it." After I hung up, Neil raised his glass. "To Sister Sarah. To Sister Sarah." We drank, and I started planning. Brianna thought she was playing chess while I played checkers. She had no idea I'd been watching her moves for months, cataloging every lie, every suspicious phone call, every night she came home late smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Detective Sarah Moore with Metro PD. We received a fraud report regarding charges in Miami. Can you come in tomorrow to give a statement?" Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I texted back, "Of course, Detective. I'll be there first thing in the morning." Neil was watching me with fascination. "You're enjoying this." 6 years, Neil. 6 years of Danny, can you work late so I can go to book club? And Danny, Kelsey needs me to drive her to the airport. And Danny, I'm having dinner with the girls again. 6 years of being treated like an ATM with legs. And now, I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Now we balance the books. Detective Sarah Moore looked exactly like her voice sounded on the phone. No nonsense, sharp-eyed, and completely unimpressed by anything life could throw at her. Her office at the Metro PD was small and cluttered, with case files stacked everywhere and a coffee mug that read, "World's Okayest Detective." "Mr. Morrison, let's go through these charges one more time." I sat across from her desk, playing the role of confused victim to perfection. "I still can't believe someone got our information. Brianna was so upset when I told her." "Your wife was in Miami during these dates?" "At her sister's wedding. Sarah." I made sure to pause slightly before the name, like I was trying to remember it. Detective Moore made a note. "We'll need to verify that. Do you have contact information for the sister?" "I can get it from Brianna when she gets home today." These charges show purchases at several high-end stores. Men's clothing, jewelry, expensive dinners. The hotel records show the room was registered to a Tyler Davidson. You know anyone by that name? My heart jumped, but I kept my expression neutral. Never heard of him. Interesting thing about credit card fraud, Mr. Morrison. Usually thieves hit multiple cards quickly and move on. They don't book hotel rooms under their real names or take romantic dinners. This Tyler Davidson used his real ID to check in. I leaned forward, feigning concern. What are you saying? I'm saying this looks less like fraud and more like someone who had authorized access to your card. Perfect. She was doing my work for me. You think someone I know did this? I think someone who knows your card information very well spent a romantic weekend in Miami with Tyler Davidson. I let the realization play across my face slowly, like a man putting together a puzzle he didn't want to solve. You think, Brianna? I think you should ask your wife about Tyler Davidson. I drove home from the police station with my mind racing. Brianna's flight was due in at 2 p.m., which gave me 3 hours to prepare. I stopped at Best Buy and picked up a small digital recorder, then swung by my bank to get copies of all the credit card statements from the past 6 months. The patterns were obvious once I started looking. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening when Brianna claimed to have yoga class, there were charges at restaurants across town. Every girls' night out corresponded with hotel charges at the Marriott downtown. Every shopping trip with Kelsey showed purchases at men's stores. Tyler Davidson. I ran a quick Google search on my laptop. Personal trainer at Elite Fitness on 5th Street. 28 years old, according to his Instagram profile. Lots of shirtless gym photos and inspirational quotes about living your best life. His most recent post was from yesterday. A photo of himself on a Miami beach, arms around a woman whose face was cropped out of the frame. The caption read, "Amazing weekend with my girl. Miami, blessed Chuck never letting go. My girl, my wife, my credit card." I screenshotted everything. Brianna walked through our front door at 4:30, dragging a suitcase and wearing designer sunglasses I'd never seen before. She looked tanned, relaxed, and guilty as hell. "Hey, babe," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Miss me?" "Every minute." I kissed her cheek, noting the faint smell of unfamiliar cologne. "How was the wedding?" "Beautiful. Sarah looked amazing." She was already heading upstairs with her suitcase. "I'm exhausted. That early flight was brutal." "I bet. Hey, the detective wants to talk to you about the credit card thing." She froze halfway up the stairs. "Detective?" "Yeah, Detective Moore. Apparently they're taking this fraud case pretty seriously. She wants to verify your alibi since you were in Miami when it happened." "My alibi?" "You know, that you were at Sarah's wedding and not involved in the fraud. She needs Sarah's contact information to confirm." Brianna's knuckles were white where she gripped the banister. I'll get that for you." She disappeared upstairs, and I heard the bedroom door close. Then I heard her talking on the phone, her voice muffled but urgent. I crept up the stairs and pressed my ear to the door. "Fucking disaster, Tyler. He filed a fraud report. Police are involved. Need to get our story straight." I smiled and activated the voice recorder app on my phone. "Told him I was at my sister's wedding. Doesn't have a sister. Thinks I'm stupid. Need you to back me up if anyone calls." This was better than Christmas morning. "Love you too, but we need to be smart about this. Can't let him find out about us. Not until I figure out the divorce." Divorce. Of course. She was planning to leave me anyway. The Miami trip wasn't just an affair. It was a trial run for her new life with Tyler Davidson, funded by my credit card. I heard her footsteps approaching the door and quickly moved back downstairs. When she came down 10 minutes later, she'd changed clothes and looked slightly more composed. "So, about Sarah's contact information," I said. "She's on her honeymoon. Won't be reachable for a week." "That's convenient." Brianna's eyes flashed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, honey. Just seems like bad timing with the police investigation and all." She studied my face carefully. "Danny, you don't think I had anything to do with this, do you?" I let the question hang in the air for a moment, watching her squirm. "Of course not, Bree. You were at a wedding with Sister Sarah." "Right, Sister Sarah. Although what? I pulled out my phone and showed her Tyler Davidson's Instagram profile. The detective showed me this photo. This is the guy who checked into the hotel using our credit card. Tyler Davidson. You ever seen him before? Brianna went pale. Actually pale. No, never. Weird thing is, he posted this photo from Miami yesterday. Same beach you posted from. Small world, right? She stared at the phone screen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. That's just a coincidence. Must be. Although Detective Moore said something interesting. She said credit card fraud usually involves multiple cards and quick hits. But this Tyler guy used his real name at the hotel, almost like he thought he had permission to use the card. That's ridiculous. Is it? We stared at each other across the kitchen island. 6 years of marriage, and I'd never seen her look so trapped. Danny, I can explain. I'm listening. She took a deep breath. Okay, yes, I know Tyler. He's my personal trainer, and yes, he was in Miami at the same time I was. But it's not what you think. What do I think? That we're having an affair. Are you? Another pause. Longer this time. No. Then why did you pay for his hotel room with my credit card? I didn't. I mean, not intentionally. He was having financial problems, and I was trying to help him out. I thought I was using my own card. I almost applauded. It was a beautiful lie, creative and almost believable. Almost. So you accidentally paid for your personal trainer's romantic Miami vacation with my credit card? It wasn't romantic. We're just friends. I showed her Tyler's Instagram post again. He calls you my girl. He calls everyone that. It's just his personality. And the men's clothes you bought him? What men's clothes? I pulled out the credit card statements I'd gotten from the bank. Hugo Boss shirt, $180. Armani cologne, $120. Gucci belt, $350. All purchased at Bal Harbor shops on Saturday afternoon. She was trapped, and we both knew it. But Brianna had never been one to go down without a fight. Fine, she said. Yes, I bought Tyler some clothes. Yes, we spent the weekend together. But it's not what you think. Then what is it? It's complicated. Uncomplicate it. She sat down at the kitchen island, suddenly looking very tired. I've been unhappy, Danny. For a long time. We never talk anymore. Never spend time together. You're always at the garage or with Neil. I felt lonely. So you decided to spend $8,000 of my money on another man? I was going to pay it back. With what money? You spent your entire paycheck last month on yoga classes and wine. I was going to get a second job. Or you could have just talked to me. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Real tears, which surprised me. Would you have listened? The question hit harder than I expected. Would I have listened? Probably not. I'd been so focused on building the business, on being the provider, that I'd stopped being a husband somewhere along the way. But that didn't excuse Miami. That didn't excuse Tyler Davidson. And it sure as hell didn't excuse using my credit card to fund her affair. We can work through this, she said. Marriage counseling, whatever you want. I'll break things off with Tyler. Things? Our friendship. I'll break off our friendship. I looked at my wife of 6 years, sitting at our kitchen island, crying real tears and lying through her teeth. And I made a decision that would change both our lives forever. Okay, I said. Let's try counseling. The relief on her face was immediate and genuine. Really? Really? But first, you need to call Detective Moore and tell her the truth about Miami. The relief vanished. Danny, I can't do that. They'll press charges. For what? Using your husband's credit card? We're married, Brianna. Technically, you had authorization. But the fraud report... I'll tell them it was a misunderstanding. That I panicked when I saw the charges and didn't realize you'd taken the card. She was studying my face again, looking for the trap. Smart woman. You'd do that for me? I'd do that for us. She nodded slowly. Okay. I'll call her tomorrow. Actually, let's call her now. Get it over with. Now? No time like the present. I handed her my phone with Detective Moore's number already dialed. Brianna took it with shaking hands. Detective Moore? This is Brianna Morrison? Yes, Danny's wife. I need to tell you something about those charges in Miami. I listened to my wife confess to adultery, credit card misuse, and lying to the police. I watched her dig her own grave with every word, thinking she was saving herself. When she hung up, she looked relieved. She said they're dropping the investigation. No charges will be filed. That's great, honey. So we're okay? I smiled and kissed her forehead. We're perfect. But we weren't perfect. We weren't even close to okay. Because while Brianna had been confessing to Detective Moore, I'd been recording every word on my backup phone. And tomorrow, Tyler Davidson was going to get a very interesting phone call. Tyler Davidson answered his phone on the second ring, his voice confident and smooth like a man who'd never faced real consequences for anything. Elite Fitness, this is Tyler. Tyler, this is Danny Morrison, Brianna's husband. The silence that followed was beautiful. I could practically hear him scrambling for the right words, the right tone, the right lie. Oh, hey man, look, I can explain. I'm sure you can. But first, I want to thank you. Thank me? I was sitting in my office at the garage, surrounded by the comfortable smell of motor oil and metal. Through the window, I could see Neil setting up chairs outside his bar for the evening crowd. Normal life, continuing as if my world hadn't been turned inside out. You helped me realize what kind of woman I married, Tyler. That's worth something. Danny, look, Brianna and I, it just happened. We never meant for it to go this far. How far did it go? Another pause. Tyler was trying to figure out what I knew, what Brianna had told me, how much trouble he was in. We're friends, man. That's all. Friends who take romantic vacations together? It wasn't romantic. Friends who buy each other expensive clothes? She insisted on paying. I told her not to. I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. Tyler, I've got hotel records showing you booked a suite with one king bed. I've got your Instagram post calling her your girl. I've got restaurant receipts for candlelit dinners and charges at couples' spas. You want to keep lying to me? The silence stretched longer this time. When Tyler finally spoke, his voice had changed. Less smooth, more defensive. What do you want? I want you to stay away from my wife. Done. We already talked about it. It's over. Is it? Yeah, man. Completely over. Because I'd hate for this to get messy, Tyler. I'd hate for your boss at Elite Fitness to find out you're sleeping with married clients. I'd hate for your girlfriend to see those Miami photos. My girlfriend? I'd done my homework. Tyler's Facebook relationship status said he was dating someone named Ashley Chen, a nurse at Metro General. His older posts showed them together at various events, looking happy and committed. Ashley seems nice, I said. Pretty girl. Shame she doesn't know about Miami. You wouldn't. Try me. I heard him breathing hard on the other end of the line. What do you want? I want you to disappear from my wife's life. No calls, no texts, no accidental meetings at the gym. And Tyler? Yeah? If I find out you've contacted her, if I see you anywhere near her, I'm going to make your life very, very difficult. Are you threatening me? I'm making you a promise. I hung up and immediately called Elite Fitness's main number. Elite Fitness, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? Hi, Jennifer. This is Danny Morrison. I'm thinking about signing up for personal training sessions, and I heard great things about Tyler Davidson. Is he available? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison. Tyler's not with us anymore. He resigned yesterday. Interesting. Very interesting. That's too bad. Any idea where he went? I'm not supposed to give out that information, but between you and me, he left pretty suddenly. Didn't even work out his 2 weeks' notice. I thanked Jennifer and hung up, my mind racing. Tyler had quit his job the day after Miami. Either he was running scared, or he and Brianna had bigger plans than I'd realized. My phone buzzed with a text from Brianna. "Working late tonight, don't wait up." Working late. Right. I called her office. "Morrison and Associates, this is Rachel." "Hi, Rachel. This is Danny Morrison, Brianna's husband. Is she still in the office?" "Oh, hi, Danny. No, Brianna left about an hour ago. Said she had a doctor's appointment." A doctor's appointment at 6 p.m. Sure. I locked up the garage and drove to Tyler's apartment complex, a trendy development on the north side of town. His car wasn't in the parking lot, but I found a good spot across the street where I could watch his building. At 7:30, Brianna's Honda Civic pulled into the lot. I sat there for 3 hours, watching the windows of Tyler's second-floor apartment. The lights were on, and occasionally I could see silhouettes moving around inside. At 10:45, Brianna emerged from the building, got in her car, and drove home. I followed at a distance, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ached. 6 years of marriage, and she was still lying to my face, still sneaking around, still treating me like an idiot. When I got home, Brianna was already in bed, pretending to sleep. I could tell she was faking by the way she was breathing, too controlled and even. "How was work?" I asked quietly. "Exhausting," she mumbled without opening her eyes. "Big project due tomorrow." "And the doctor's appointment?" She went very still. "What doctor's appointment?" "Rachel said you left for a doctor's appointment." "Oh, right. Just a routine checkup. Everything's fine." I nodded in the dark. "Good. I'm glad everything's fine." But nothing was fine. Nothing was even close to fine. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove to Ashley Chen's apartment. She lived in a small complex near the hospital, and according to her Facebook page, she worked the night shift and would be getting home around 8 a.m. I waited in the parking lot until I saw a tired-looking Asian woman in scrubs walking toward the building. She matched Ashley's photos perfectly. "Ashley Chen?" She turned, immediately wary. "Yes?" "My name is Danny Morrison. I think we need to talk about Tyler Davidson." Her expression changed from wariness to something harder. "What about him?" "You know, don't you?" She studied my face for a long moment, then sighed. "You're the husband. You know about Miami?" "I know about everything. Tyler's not as smart as he thinks he is." She shifted her purse to her other shoulder. "Look, Mr. Morrison, I'm sorry about your wife, but Tyler and I broke up 2 weeks ago. Whatever he's doing now isn't my problem." 2 weeks ago? Before Miami?" "The day before Miami. I found texts on his phone from some married woman, Brianna. They were planning the whole trip, talking about how they were going to use her husband's credit card to pay for everything." My blood went cold. "They planned it?" "Oh yeah. Tyler thought it was hilarious. Said you were some dumb mechanic who wouldn't figure it out until it was too late." Dumb mechanic. I'd been called worse, but somehow that one stung. "Ashley, would you be willing to testify to that, if it came to a divorce proceeding?" She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "Mr. Morrison, I'd be happy to testify. Tyler Davidson is a lying, cheating piece of garbage, and your wife is just as bad. They deserve each other. They might get the chance." "What do you mean?" I showed her the photos I'd taken the night before, Brianna's car at Tyler's apartment complex. "I don't think their affair is as over as they claim." Ashley looked at the photos, her jaw tightening. "That bastard. He told me he was done with her." "When did he tell you that?" "Yesterday. Called me crying. Said he'd made a huge mistake and wanted to get back together. Said he'd learned his lesson." I felt a cold smile spreading across my face. "Ashley, how would you like to help me teach them both a lesson?" She looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. "What did you have in mind?" "How good are you with social media?" 2 hours later, Ashley had created a fake Facebook account, and sent friend requests to Brianna, Tyler, and about 50 of their mutual acquaintances. The profile looked legitimate. A young, professional woman new to the city, looking to make friends. Within 6 hours, Brianna had accepted the friend request and sent a private message. "Welcome to the city. Always happy to help a fellow girl navigate this place." Ashley responded with enthusiasm, and soon they were chatting like old friends. Brianna, apparently starved for attention and validation, was sharing details about her life, her marriage, and her complicated situation with remarkable openness. By the end of the week, Ashley had screenshots of Brianna admitting to the affair, complaining about her boring husband, and making plans to leave me as soon as she figured out how to maximize her settlement in the divorce. But the real goldmine came when Brianna started talking about Tyler. "He's everything Danny isn't," she wrote. "Exciting, adventurous, passionate. We're talking about moving to California together once I get rid of the dead weight." Dead weight. 6 years of marriage, and that's what I'd become. Ashley forwarded me every message, every photo, every piece of evidence. By Sunday, I had enough material to destroy both of them in any divorce court in the country. But I wasn't ready for divorce court yet. I was just getting started. Sunday evening, I called Neil and asked him to meet me at the garage. When he arrived, I showed him everything: the credit card statements, the photos, the text messages, Ashley's screenshots. Neil whistled low. "Jesus, Danny, she really did a number on you." "They both did. So what's the plan? Divorce lawyer?" I shook my head. "Not yet. First, I want them to understand exactly who they're dealing with." "What do you mean?" I pulled out a manila folder I'd been working on all week. Inside were copies of everything: bank statements, phone records, hotel receipts, Instagram posts, text message screenshots. But I'd also included some additional research. Tyler's employment history showed a pattern of getting involved with female clients at every gym where he'd worked. Elite Fitness was his 4th job in 3 years, and he'd left the previous 3 under suspicious circumstances. Brianna's work computer had been flagged by IT for excessive personal use. Her supervisor had noted multiple instances of her leaving early or calling in sick, always on days that corresponded with Tyler's schedule. "You've been busy," Neil said, flipping through the pages. "I'm just getting started." I closed the folder. "Neil, I need a favor." "Name it." "Next Friday night, I want you to host a little gathering at the bar. Nothing fancy, just drinks and appetizers. Invite some of our usual crowd." "Okay. What's the occasion?" I smiled. "I'm going to tell everyone the truth about my marriage." Neil stared at me. "You're going to publicly humiliate her?" "I'm going to publicly educate people about who Brianna Morrison really is." "Danny, that's what? That's cold, man. Even for her." I thought about $8,000 on my credit card. I thought about dead weight and dumb mechanic. I thought about 3 hours sitting in a parking lot, watching my wife sneak around behind my back. "Neil, she spent 6 years treating me like an ATM and a fool. She's planning to divorce me and take half of everything I've worked for. And she's doing it all while screwing another man on my dime." Neil nodded slowly. "Friday night it is. And Neil, make sure you invite Kelsey and Lauren. Brianna's 2 best friends, the ones who'd been covering for her, making excuses, helping her maintain her lies. This is going to get messy," Neil warned. "It already is messy," I said. "I'm just going to make sure everyone can see it." Friday night at Kowalski's Tap House was standing room only. Neil had done his job perfectly, inviting not just our usual crowd, but half the neighborhood. Brianna's friends Kelsey and Lauren were there, looking slightly confused about why they'd been invited to what they thought was just another casual get-together. Tyler Davidson was notably absent, but that was about to change. I'd spent the week preparing for this moment. Ashley Chen had continued her fake friendship with Brianna, gathering more evidence and feeding me information about Tyler's whereabouts. Tonight, He was supposed to be at Brianna's apartment, waiting for her to come home from what she'd told him was a boring night out with Danny's friends. She had no idea what was coming. Brianna looked beautiful, I had to admit. She'd dressed up for the occasion, wearing a new dress I'd never seen before, and jewelry that definitely wasn't in our budget. She was working the room like a politician, charming everyone with her smile and her stories about her job at the marketing firm. "Danny, this is so nice," she said, appearing at my elbow with a glass of wine. "I'm glad we're doing more social things together." "Me too, honey. I think it's important for people to really know us as a couple." She smiled and squeezed my arm. "I love you." The words hit me like a physical blow, not because I believed them, but because of how easily she could say them while planning to destroy my life. At 8 o'clock, I climbed onto a chair and tapped my beer bottle with a fork. The room gradually quieted down. "Hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. Neil throws a hell of a party, doesn't he?" Cheers and applause. Brianna was beaming up at me, playing the role of supportive wife perfectly. "I wanted to gather you all here because Brianna and I have been going through some changes lately, and I thought it was time to be honest with our friends about what's been happening." Brianna's smile faltered slightly. She was probably expecting an announcement about marriage counseling or renewing our vows or some other reconciliation bullshit. "6 years ago, I married the most beautiful woman in this room." I raised my beer toward Brianna. "I thought I was the luckiest man alive." Awes and applause from the crowd. Brianna's smile was back, but I could see confusion in her eyes. "I worked 60-hour weeks to give her everything she wanted. Nice house, new car, designer clothes, spa treatments, yoga classes. I wanted her to have the life she deserved." More supportive murmurs. Neil was watching me from behind the bar, his expression unreadable. "And you know what? She did deserve that life. She deserved all of it and more. The only problem was, she decided she deserved to share it with someone else." The room went dead silent. Brianna's face went white. 2 weeks ago, I got a text message from my wife. She was in Miami, supposedly at her sister's wedding. The text said, "Maxed out your card in Miami. You make enough." I pulled out my phone and read the message aloud. Several people gasped. Kelsey and Lauren were staring at Brianna in shock. $8,000, I continued, on a romantic vacation with her personal trainer, Tyler Davidson. Hotel suites, expensive dinners, shopping sprees for two, all on my credit card. Brianna found her voice. "Danny, stop, please." "But wait, it gets better." I pulled out the manila folder I'd prepared. "See, I thought this was just about an affair. I thought my wife had made a mistake, gotten caught up in something exciting and new. I was ready to forgive her." I opened the folder and pulled out printed screenshots of text messages. But then I found out they'd been planning this for months, laughing about how they were going to use the dumb mechanic's credit card to fund their romantic getaway. I read some of the messages aloud. The room was so quiet, you could hear people breathing. "He's so stupid. He'll never figure it out," I read in Tyler's voice. "By the time he does, we'll be long gone." Brianna was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. "Danny, please stop. We can talk about this at home." "Oh, we're not done yet." I pulled out more papers. Because while I was discovering the affair, I also found out about the plan to divorce me and take half of everything I've worked for. I read from Ashley's screenshots, Brianna's own words about her boring husband, and the dead weight she needed to get rid of. Lauren, one of Brianna's best friends, stood up. "Brianna, is this true?" Brianna looked around the room at all the faces staring at her, some angry, some disappointed, some just shocked. It's more complicated than—" "Yes or no, Brianna," I said. "Did you have an affair with Tyler Davidson?" Silence. "Did you use my credit card to pay for your romantic vacation?" More silence. "Did you plan to divorce me and take half my assets?" She finally looked up at me, and for a moment I saw something that might have been the real Brianna. Not the charming socialite or the loving wife, but the woman who could look at 6 years of marriage and see nothing but an obstacle to her happiness. "Yes," she whispered. The room erupted, people talking over each other, chairs scraping, glasses clinking as people set down their drinks. Kelsey and Lauren were both crying now, whether for Brianna or for me, I couldn't tell, but I wasn't finished. "Now, here's where it gets really interesting," I said, raising my voice over the noise. "Because Tyler Davidson isn't just a cheating personal trainer, he's a professional cheating personal trainer." I pulled out Tyler's employment history. 4 gyms in 3 years, fired from each one for inappropriate relationships with married clients. Elite Fitness was just his latest hunting ground. I looked directly at Brianna. "You weren't special, honey. You were just convenient." That broke her. She started sobbing, deep, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. "And the best part?" I continued. "Tyler's been playing both sides. While he was planning a future with my wife, he was also trying to get back together with his ex-girlfriend Ashley." I showed them Tyler's recent text messages to Ashley, begging for another chance, claiming the affair with Brianna meant nothing. "So, my wife destroyed our marriage for a man who considers her a meaningless fling." Brianna looked up at me through her tears. "How do you know all this?" "Because Ashley Chen has been feeding me information all week. Turns out, women don't like being lied to any more than men do." The crowd was completely silent now, hanging on every word. But here's the thing, folks. I'm not the victim in this story. I'm just a guy who learned an important lesson about the woman he married, and I wanted to make sure all of you learned it too. I closed the folder and climbed down from the chair. Brianna Morrison is a liar, a cheat, and a thief. She's been using my money to fund an affair while planning to divorce me and take half of everything I own. She's been lying to all of you, using you to cover for her betrayal, and treating everyone in her life like tools for her own happiness. I looked around the room at all the faces I'd known for years, friends, neighbors, co-workers. I thought you all deserved to know who you've really been friends with. The silence that followed was deafening. Brianna was still crying, but quietly now, as if she'd run out of tears. Finally, Lauren stood up. "Brianna, I think you should leave." "Lauren, please." "You used us," Kelsey said, her voice shaking. "All those times you asked us to lie for you, to cover for you. We thought we were helping you through a rough patch in your marriage." "You were helping her cheat," I said quietly. Both women looked at me with something that might have been apology, then back at Brianna with disgust. "Get out," Lauren said. Brianna looked around the room one more time, searching for a friendly face, for someone who might defend her or offer comfort. She found nothing but cold stares and disappointed shakes of the head. She grabbed her purse and ran for the door. The room stayed quiet for a long moment after she left. Then Neil started clapping. Slowly, others joined in, until the whole room was applauding. "That," Neil said, "was the most brutal thing I've ever seen." "She had it coming," someone called out. "Danny, I'm sorry, man," another voice said. "We had no idea." I nodded, accepting condolences and pats on the back, but inside I felt empty, hollow. 6 years of my life had just ended in a bar, in front of 50 people, with a folder full of evidence, and a wife who'd run away crying. It should have felt like victory. It should have felt like justice. Instead, it just felt like the end. But I wasn't done yet. There was still Tyler Davidson to deal with. I found Tyler exactly where Ashley said he'd be, sitting in his car outside my house at 11 p.m., waiting for Brianna to come home from the bar. He was parked under a streetlight, scrolling through his phone, completely oblivious to the fact that his entire world had just collapsed. I parked behind him and walked up to his driver's side window. He looked up, startled, then rolled down the window with a nervous smile. "Hey, Danny, I was just... waiting for my wife?" His smile faltered. "Look, man, I know how this looks, but... Tyler, do you know where Brianna is right now?" "She said she was at some bar with you." "She was." Until about an hour ago, when I told everyone we know about your affair. The color drained from his face. You what? I told them everything. The credit card fraud, the Miami trip, the planning, the lies. All of it. Tyler stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Danny, you don't understand. Brianna and we're in love. I laughed. Actually laughed. Tyler, show me your phone. What? Your phone. Show me your text messages with Ashley Chen from this week. His face went even paler. How do you... Just show me. With shaking hands, he pulled up his messages with Ashley. I could see them from where I stood. Desperate pleas for another chance, promises that Brianna meant nothing, claims that the whole affair was just a mistake. Read them out loud, I said. Danny, I can explain. Read them. He cleared his throat and began reading his own words. Ashley, please give me another chance. The thing with Brianna was just sex. She means nothing to me. You're the one I love. I made a terrible mistake. Keep going. I was just using her for money and gifts. She's desperate and pathetic. I never loved her. It was always you. I nodded. And when did you send that last message? Yesterday. Yesterday. The same day you told Brianna you wanted to move to California with her. Tyler slumped in his seat. Danny, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. No, you're not. You're just sorry you got caught. I pulled out my phone and showed him photos from the bar. Brianna crying, her friends turning their backs on her, the crowd's disgusted faces. This is what your love did to her, Tyler. This is what your great romance accomplished. He stared at the photos, his hands shaking. Is she okay? Do you care? Of course I care. Enough to give up Ashley and commit to her? Silence. That's what I thought. I put my phone away. Tyler, I want you to understand something. My wife destroyed our marriage for you. She burned every bridge in her life, lost all her friends, humiliated herself in front of our entire community. For you. I never asked her to do that. No, you just took her money, used her credit cards, and made her believe you loved her while trying to get back together with your ex-girlfriend. Tyler was crying now, actual tears running down his cheeks. I fucked up. I fucked everything up. Yes, you did. What do you want from me? I considered the question. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? An apology? None of those things would give me back 6 years of my life or undo the betrayal. I want you to disappear, I said finally. I want you to leave town, leave Brianna alone, and never contact either of us again. Danny, I can't just... Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm going to make sure everyone in this city knows exactly who Tyler Davidson is. Every gym, every potential employer, every woman you might try to manipulate. I'll make sure they all know about your pattern of seducing married clients and using them for money. He stared at me, understanding finally dawning in his eyes. You'd ruin my life. You ruined mine first. We sat there in the dark, two men whose lives had been destroyed by the same woman for completely different reasons. There's a bus to Phoenix that leaves at 6 a.m., I said. I suggest you be on it. Tyler nodded slowly. What about Brianna? What about her? Are you going to divorce her? I thought about that question. 6 hours ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. But now, looking at this broken man crying in his car, I realized something. Brianna and Tyler deserved each other. Tyler, I'm going to make you a deal. He looked up hopefully. You can have her. What? You can have Brianna. Take her with you to Phoenix or California or wherever you want to go. Live your great love story. I don't understand. I pulled out a manila envelope I'd prepared earlier. Inside were divorce papers, already filled out and ready for signatures. I'm filing for divorce on Monday. Adultery, financial fraud, emotional cruelty. With all the evidence I've gathered, she won't get a penny in the settlement. Tyler stared at the papers. You want me to take her? I want you to take responsibility for what you've done. You destroyed her life for your own selfish pleasure. The least you can do is live with the consequences. Danny, I don't love her. Then you should have thought of that before you fucked her. I leaned against his car window. Here's how this is going to work, Tyler. You're going to call Brianna right now and tell her you want to be with her. You're going to offer to take her away from all this mess you created. And you're going to mean it. And if I don't, then I release everything to social media. Your employment history, your text messages with Ashley, your financial records showing how much money you've taken from married women over the years. I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Tyler looked at the divorce papers, then at me, then at his phone. You're serious? Dead serious. He dialed Brianna's number with shaking fingers. She answered on the first ring. Tyler? Brianna, baby, I heard what happened tonight. I'm so sorry. I could hear her crying through the phone. I want you to pack your bags, Tyler continued, reading from notes I'd written for him. We're leaving town tonight. You and me, starting fresh somewhere new. Tyler, I don't know if I can... I love you, Brianna. I want to spend my life with you. No more hiding, no more lies. Just us. There was a long pause. Then, really? Really? Pack light. I'll pick you up in an hour. When he hung up, Tyler looked at me with something that might have been respect. You magnificent bastard. She'll figure out who you really are eventually, I said. Probably in about 6 months when the novelty wears off and you start looking for your next mark. And then? And then you'll both get exactly what you deserve. I watched Tyler drive away to collect my wife, taking with him 6 years of my life and all the bitterness that came with it. By morning they'd be gone, and I'd be free to start over. It wasn't the revenge I'd originally planned. It was better, because sometimes the best revenge is just letting people have exactly what they think they want. 3 months later, I got a call from Ashley Chen. Tyler and Brianna had lasted exactly 8 weeks in Phoenix before he'd abandoned her for a wealthy widow he'd met at a hotel bar. Brianna was working at a diner, living in a studio apartment, and calling everyone she'd ever known, begging for money to get home. Nobody was taking her calls. I hung up on Ashley and went back to work on the 1967 Mustang I'd been restoring. It was finally running perfectly, every part balanced and working in harmony, just like my life.